Alright, ladies, Naomi here. Thank you so much for coming last night to our fall leaf watercolor painting class. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to get some experience learning how to teach painting, and so it was good practice for me. Since Alyssa had to leave early, and I know some of you didn't have the best view of what was going on. I think this will be helpful to kind of review it, and then if you want to go ahead and get your own supplies and practice, then it will be easier to just kind of rewatch the video. So we only focused on 4 different colors. Our first step, I had a stencil if some of you wanted to use that. Then we traced lightly in pencil, and we put our first 2 colors on. We layered our second 2 colors on that, and then some of us put a little background in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get this out, and I'm going to try to put my palette here close. Let's see, 2 cups of water. All right. Let's see. So the first color we used was, or actually that's not the first color we used. The first color we used was this cadmium yellow. And as you can see, this box is filled in. That is a opaque color, so it looks a little more milky. Then we also used this cadmium orange from Winsor & Newton, and there it's filled in. It's also an opaque. Then we put a little bit of this sap green, which is a transparent, and then we put a little bit of this Algerian crimson, and I am not holding it up very well. It is also transparent. Alright. So first what we're going to want to do is you get your brush. We had brushes last night, I think from a 6 to maybe a 10. And pretty much any size will work for this. I like my 8 here. So I'm going to go ahead and dip my brush in some water, and then I'm going to grab some yellow, and this is dried overnight, so I'm going to add some more water there. Just kind of get it broken up there. Add it to my plate. I'm going to grab a little more water. Alright. I'm going to start at the bottom of our leaf, and I'm going to start with the tip of my brush, and as I go I'm going to push down a little bit. I'm going to do that here. And I think my kids are starting to sneak down the stairs, so we'll see how this goes. Abraham, what do you need? You can go potty. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, instead of going back into my paint, and I kind of messed that up there, I was a little distracted, and instead of going back into my paint, I'm actually going to go into my water and just dip the tip into the water and go back down. And I'm going to go with the yellow all the way up here. And the kids are supposed to be taking a bit of a nap. So, excuse me while I make sure They're doing that. Pearl, do you have a question? Sorry, say that again? No. It's quiet time. Please go back to your room. Yes, Mommy. Thank you. Alright, so, alright, and that's about it. I'm just going to kind of wet it down here a little bit, I don't know. Leaving some spots a little white there. Anyway, alright. I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to go into my orange. I'm going to add a little bit of water to there since it was kind of dried out from last night. And find a new spot on my palette here. Add a little bit of water. Add a little more water. There. I'm going to start at the top and push down on my brush as I go. No, Abraham. We're not sleeping downstairs right now.
Not you. Me.
Oh, you. No. Thanks for asking. Alright, and then I'm going to go like that. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Just kind of wet it a little bit. I'm going to blend it in a little bit with the yellow. There. Rinse it off. Yes. Yes, you may. The tag goes in the back. Do you see the tag?
Yes.
All right.
This way. This way.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right, and so then our next step, so that's kind of there. That's what we did there. So we're going to go into our next layer. And these are our opaque colors. We're going to put some transparent colors on top. We're going to grab some of our green, and I actually put new color in here, so these are going to be wet. I didn't have to add water to it. Oh, I always do that. Get a little bit too much color there with my green. I don't know why.
This way. Is it this way or this way?
It's that way. Abe, it's that way. Okay, go upstairs, please. The kids always know when I'm distracted, and it's harder for me to follow up. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. And I'm going to add some green. And that's a lot of green, but I'm going to go ahead and just put some down. And then I'm going to take some water. I'm going to wash my brush out, and I'm going to wash all the green out of my brush, dab it on my paper towel, and I'm going to start dragging this green around. I'm probably covering a little more yellow than I originally wanted to, but I think it'll look great. And then I'm going to take my brush up here and just kind of barely, not adding any more pigment to my brush. There. So, since I already have my green, I'm going to go ahead and just make a line of green down. It's a little bit of a broken line, but I think that's all right for now. So now I'm going to rinse my brush out again and dry it. And I'm going to get another plate, since this is not the biggest plate in the world. And I'm going to do my red, my crimson, Get a little bit of water. And I'm going to start mixing my red. I love this color. It's so vivid. I'm going to put a lot of water in this one. I want this color to kind of drip a little more. We'll do our details later where we make things a little darker at the tips. But for now, I'm going to add a lot of water. I'm going to tip my brush here just barely, just to make sure it doesn't drip. And I'm going to go ahead and start at my tip and go down. This is so much better than holding up my painting on the side and trying to paint. It's easier to paint it flat on a flat surface. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my brush. Dry it so it's just not, at least tap it so it's not dripping. And I'm going to go and I'm going to start moving this around a little bit while it's still a little wet. So that's a lot of color. Maybe not quite as natural looking as it could be. So we're going to start putting the contrasting colors on top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and layer my red on top. And I might go over this again with a little more pigment later, but at the moment that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rinse off my brush. And I am going to grab a little bit more of my red and water, but it's going to be a little more condensed this time, a lot more paint. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the tip. With a tiny touch of my green. Uh-oh, I hear something going on upstairs. I like this. It kind of makes it look more like a magenta almost, because it's just a touch of green in my red. And I'm gonna do just that a little bit. Then I'm going to rinse my brush out and just use my water, dab my brush, pull down a little more. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and while this section is a little wet, I'm going to take the tip of my brush, and I hope you guys are still seeing this. I haven't always looked up. I'm going to take the tip of my brush and I'm going to go down. And I don't need all of it to show all the way to the end. You know, you don't need every tiny little line showing. And now no, it's Pearl. I thought it was Zeke. Okay. Pearl, do you have a question again?
Can I have my sugar?
Sure. Please don't make a mess. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm wondering what this will do if I add a little bit of red to my orange here. I'm going to add a little bit of red to my orange. And it's a little more pigmented. There's not as much water in this one. And I'm going to kind of do what I did to the top part of the leaf, except with this orangey red. And I'm going to go ahead and get rinse out my brush again. And it's still a little wet. I'm going to start dragging some of the color down. Alright. Then I'm going to take the end of my brush and I'm going to go from here to there. So I'm trying to remember that because it, there we go. And there, and there, and there. And you can't see every tiny little line, but that is okay. I like how it breaks up. You get the, sometimes if you draw or paint everything that you know is there, it doesn't come across the same way in a painting. Drawing every tiny little detail is not always needed. It just gets too tight, and just kind of drawing the idea of it sometimes works better, especially with like watercolors, I feel like. Alright, I'm going to rinse my brush again and dab it. It's still a little bit wet, so I'm going to start dragging some of the color. And I'm going over some of the white because it kind of is going to give it a little bit of a layered effect, but I'm not covering all of the little white pieces there. I'm going to go back, I'm going to go into this green just a tad bit, and the red with the green is going to make it look a little bit brown, which is fine, which is great. And then I'm going to take the tip of my brush, and it's not quite as wet as I think it needs to be, but let's see how this goes. Take the tip of my brush and go all the way to my center point. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my green, and I already have green here. I'm just going to add a little bit of water. I'm going to take either a touch of my red or a touch of this, and I'm just going to, it's going to make it look a little more of a natural color. Tad touch of brown. It's still green, but it's going to look a little more earthy. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see, I might add a little more pigment, so that it's a little more pigment to water in this one, because I want it to be a little bit more condensed there. I'm going to add that here. Here. I'm going to try to sharpen up some of these. Alright, I'm going to raise my voice just a little bit, so hold your ears if you need to. Pearl and Zeke and Abe, get in your beds right now. In your rooms. You can play, you can read books, but you need to do it quietly by yourselves. Do you understand? Yes, Mommy. Thank you. I want to hear doors shutting. No, it's not. Not sure if that's going to work. Sometimes I have to like follow up. I'm going to try to make these a little more pointed. I feel like they weren't quite as pointy as I wanted. I'm going to add a little more water here. Touch it down there in the tip. Rinse my brush. dab it off just a little bit. I just dripped water on here, but that's all right. And then I'm gonna start pulling some of that color. And then I might need a little tiny bit more water there. Starting to dry up a little bit. Alright, and I feel like it needs to blend a little. And as it blends into the middle of the leaf there, I feel like it's gonna look a little more earthy because we're blending the green into kind of the orangey red, which kind of makes it look a little more earthy. So hopefully this is still wet enough. I'm going to dab, I just put water on top. It's a lot of water, but I'm going to maybe soak up just a tad. I just dried my brush and touched it to my paper to suck up just a little bit more of that water, but there's still quite a bit there. So I'm going to put a drip of more dark green there on the ends. I like that because it's going to give it a little bit more of that water effect. And I'm going to go ahead and pull in the lines with the tip, the edge, the tip of my brush. And that's, there you go. And not every line is showing, and that's all right. I think that looks good. Okay. And I kind of got my page a little bit dirty there, but that's okay. All right. So, all right, now I feel like I want to make this a little bit redder. So I'm going to use this since it's kind of a dirty color. I'm going to add a little bit more of the crimson, alizarin. All right, and I'm going to touch my brush to my paper towel. And I'm going to pull down, make it just a little bit darker in value. I feel like this needs to be a darker value. And I'm going to maybe do a little bit of this here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my brush again, dab it on the paper towel, and start kind of pulling the color out a little just to kind of make it blend. Okay, my lighting is a little weird right there, so I can't see it very well. Alright, and that kind of gives it a more earthy effect, but it looks like it's starting to go into the leaf there. If you want to make the tips of your leaves a little bit more dark, you can use the contrasting color on top to kind of make your neutral there, or your brown. And once I do that, I'm gonna just blend it a little bit here. I don't know how much you can see of that. Alright, there's a lot of contrast because it's nice to have some darker values, lighter values, medium values, just kind of in there. Let's see, I'm going to do that here a little bit. And my brush is not shaping very well right now. Let's see. Okay. And then if you want, you can take a little bit more of your sap green . To the tips of your red. rinsed my brush off. I'm blending just a little bit. You could do that on different places. You could keep on doing that. I feel like this might need to be blended a tiny bit. Alright. And that's about it. I'm going to go, it's already been 25 minutes, so that's a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that Polaroid. And if you guys need to, like, skip around or whatever, it's fine. And my kids are... No, Abe, I don't know where your piggy bank is. Oh, okay. You want your piggy bank? Okay, so it needs to go a little wider here. Abraham, if you want your piggy bank, I do not know where it is right now. I am doing a little bit of a video right now. And so, oh goodness, okay. Abraham, I don't know where your piggy bank is. You're going to have to be okay without it right now. When Mommy is done, I will come and help you. I will come and help you do your, find your piggy bank, okay? Do you understand? Alright. And I'm just going to push down on just the ends a little bit. You don't want to push down too much because it's going to...
money things. Money, Danny.
Alright. No, Abe, put those back, please. Yes, Mommy, put that back.
For my money, but I need these for my money. For my coin.
I'm sorry, I don't know where it is. Alright, what I'm going to do really quick, and I'm going to try and show you, and things are kind of falling apart here, but I'm sure all of you kind of understand. I'm going to add a little bit of my white, my opaque white. It is a titanium white, and then we're using our ultramarine blue, really, and it's also transparent. I mean, it's a transparent, the white is opaque. And we're just going to add, I'm putting it on my plate because it's just a little simpler right now. And I actually, let's see, have some clean water.
Wait, why have that there?
I want it to be a very light.
Why is that so yummy, I think?
Oh, I know, isn't it so yummy?
Why do you have
And you guys,
that?
if you guys did not eat one of these last night, you really missed out. I know some of you guys were
Missed out what?
doing
Missed out what?
some healthy food choices and on diets and
Don't
stuff,
go.
but seriously, like this
Don't go,
apple caramel
Mommy.
cheesecake, oh goodness, very good. All right, maybe after your nap, but you guys need to go upstairs. The timer didn't go off. You need to wait. All right, so I am going to, Abe has one pearl. You